Welcome. Thank you for joining me in listening to this MP3 so that I can help walk you through the self-assessment. It's so interesting. There's so much information available on the internet today. A lot of it is free, really valuable stuff, but I've found that a lot of it we don't necessarily take full advantage of. We submit our information, we get the free ebook or video course, but we don't always utilize it in the best way we can. This is also true with things that we pay for. I've been teaching in the virtual world for more than 2 years, and I have noticed some trends about the kinds of behaviors that we have when we ask for specific information in the form of a virtual class. Not as many people as I would like to see take a real advantage of that information, both free or paid. So in order to do that, I just want to remind you of this self-assessment so you can determine for yourself if this is really something you want to dig into. Who is the Accelerate Your Mojo for? Okay, so this self-assessment, I want you to take this as honestly as possible, meaning that if you have a particular emotional sensation when you're thinking about any of these sentences, mark, yes, this is true for me. Because the only way that we can actually make progress is to identify and be honest with ourselves about the way that we really feel. You know, a lot of these things we don't necessarily want to talk to other people about, but that's where this program can be beneficial because this is an open forum for acknowledging these kinds of struggles and getting over them so that we can create more of what we want in our lives. So if you have the PDF, which is in the course, you've downloaded it, you have it in front of you, it might be really beneficial. Otherwise, you can just listen and make mental notes or check marks on a piece of paper. So here's the self-assessment. This is for you if you answer yes to any of these. Number 1, I want to get to the root cause of my emotional discomfort. If you have any kind of sense of uncomfortableness, you know, like a ache in your gut or sort of a low-grade anxiety or just a discomfort and an uncomfortableness with the way your life is going, that's what I mean by emotional discomfort. I struggle to make decisions because I worry I'm not making the right choice. If you get stuck in that place of indecision, not knowing which choice to make, it is a very uncomfortable place to be, not to mention that it delays the realization of what you want. This step is for those who want to make a decision and not worry about whether it's the right decision, but know that it's the right decision, line up with it, and then keep moving forward, creating more experiences that are joyful in their life. The third one is, it feels as if fear and doubt are stopping me from having the awesome experiences I want in life. This was true for me. You know, there was a lot of fear regarding creating the kinds of experiences that I wanted, and I definitely spent a lot of time and energy in the vibration of doubt. You know, I really doubted because I didn't understand how it was that we create our own realities. This knowledge truly is power. What I'm giving you, what I'm teaching you in the free course and also in the full course is information that truly empowers you to create the experiences that you want in life and to be happy in the process. The next one says, sometimes I feel stuck, or it feels like something keeps getting in my way of success. Really, the inner world is being reflected into the outer world. So when we have organization in our inner world and structure, and we understand how the inner atmosphere and the inner realm is working to create the outer one, everything makes sense. There's clarity, so much clarity. And clarity is really fun. Maybe you experience strong thoughts of self-doubt, anxiety, or unworthiness. This is really common. I don't think I've ever met a person who hasn't had sensations of self-doubt, anxiety, or unworthiness. And when you understand why it is those sensations are occurring and a necessary feature that helps us gauge where we are in relation to where we want and then what to do about it to shift it so you don't have to stay there, you live a very different type of life. Much more freeing, much more abundant, much more confident, much more clear. Maybe you can't seem to figure out why what you asked for in life wasn't showing up. This was also me. I was doing all the things that I was told to do by all the experts. And for me personally, it's not just because I have a very stubborn personality, meaning I want to do things myself. I really was doing what I was being told. And what I was told was that if I do this, I'll get this particular result. It wasn't happening. And what I learned over time was that it's not the external actions that are creating the result that people are wanting. It's actually beginning with the internal resonance. And when you get that figured out, you can see why a particular action would work for somebody or not work for somebody. So it explains that whole concept of why some people get results with a specific methodology or expert or protocol and other people don't. There's no more uncertainty about why that disparity exists. Perhaps you think of why things, maybe you ask yourself, why does that keep happening to me? I'm a kind, positive person. The intellect is not what we're questioning here. It's not about how many affirmations you can say, how many positive comments or thoughts you can have about yourself or someone else. It really and truly is about how your inner resonance is vibrating. What kind of tonality, what kind of frequency, what kind of internal atmosphere you've created. And when you begin to believe that that is actually how reality gets created, you settle into how to operate that internal dashboard to get more of what you're wanting and feel confident, clear, happy, joyful, appreciative, fun, all the things that we truly want to be resonant in. Maybe you keep some aspect of yourself hidden because you don't think you're truly going to be accepted. For me, I was a closet spiritualist. For me, growing up, there was a lot of doubt from those adults around me about the spiritual aspect of a person. And it doesn't matter what you call that. I like to call it non-physically focused energy because it takes away all the dogma related to words that we tend to use like God or universal intelligence, or I like to make it as clear and as plain and as simple as I possibly can. So that spiritual aspect of us, I like to term non-physically focused energy. There's a part in the book, Accelerate Your Mojo, that's being published by Motivational Press this fall, where I talk about where I got my first introduction to the pure positive love that we all are and that surrounds us all the time, that we have access to all the time. When I was 20 and my mom died of pancreatic cancer, we happened to be blessed to be by her side as she made her transition. And the experience that I had with allowing true connection to pure positive energy stayed with me throughout my whole life. But then I fell prey to the idea that it was weird to have the kinds of experiences that I was having, the knowledge, the information, considered kind of woo-woo. So I shied away from it. But the real me is a fully aware teacher of how to blend this non-physical aspect of us with the practicality of the physicality in a day-to-day basis. So that was my hidden secret. Perhaps there's an unknown aspect of new experiences that make you uncomfortable. When you can settle into the knowing of how you create your own reality, there is no such experience as being scared of the unknown anymore. You're not fearful of death. You're not fearful of what's coming in the future and how you're going to get the bills paid or the relationship that you want or the health that you want. You know in a very concrete fashion how those things are going to come about, and you relax into the experience of it, and you truly enjoy the unfolding process. There's such benefit to your entire life experience, and this information can be, by the way, passed down to generations and generations and generations. Maybe you experience skepticism or emotional discomfort even when things are growing great in your life. The landscape, the picture looks beautiful. You got the great house, you got the great family, you got the great job, but there's some amount of emotional discomfort or skepticism or whatever you want to call it. There's a dis-ease present in you that you want to be able to understand and know how to get rid of if it ever comes back again. Perhaps you desire a more in-depth conversation about how you create your own reality. This to me is probably one of the most important conversations, and it's one in which I'm teaching to my own children because it releases us from the sense of victimization. By that I mean even the smallest sense of victimization to the largest sense of victimization, even from somebody, getting into a car accident with you and you feel like it's not your fault, so you feel like you're a victim of somebody else's improper driving, to all sorts of topics. It really does release the desire to point fingers at other people and say, you did this to me, or even how could this happen to me? A sense of improper victimization. It releases you from that. And from there on, you are truly, truly free. Maybe you want to uncover why problems and challenges are a necessary aspect of life and foster appreciation for them. I don't like to call them problems and challenges only because there's a lot of emotional baggage that's brought to the forefront when we use particular kinds of words and use particular kinds of language. So problems and challenges typically put us into a negative space immediately. I have this issue, I have this problem. We never say I have this issue with abundance. We say I have this issue with something that's negative that typically immediately puts us in a negative vibration. So I like to say contrast, because contrast is just the difference between two things, up and down, light and dark, left and right. Things that don't have as much baggage attached to them. But contrast, or the problems and challenges that are showing up in your life, there is a way to look at them and not look at them as lessons, because lessons feels like I did something wrong and I have to learn a lesson, but not look at it that way, but look at it as valuable feedback data so that you can understand where you are in relation to where you want to be and what is the next best step to take. Maybe you want to learn to use positive and negative feelings as a diagnostic tool. I don't believe in living fearlessly for the most part, because I think that implies that fear should be wiped clean of our human experience. And I don't believe that's true, because I believe it's an indicator. It's an indicating mechanism. Just as if you put your foot in a campfire, you have sensors in your foot that indicate, oh, foot's not supposed to be there, take it out. You don't want to take some kind of painkiller so you can stick your foot in the fire. You want to understand the feedback mechanism so you can take a step in the direction that's better for you than the one you just took. That's what I mean by using positive and negative feelings as a diagnostic tool, so that you are completely free and living empowered, not living by virtue of just reacting to situations and circumstances, but really choosing your inner vibration and then experiencing life from this central point of, happiness. Maybe you put the needs of others before your own and then experience resentment, frustration, and anger. I think this is true of so many women. We say yes and put the needs of other people before our own and then have nothing left for ourselves but resentment, frustration, and anger. And I want to teach selfish living. By that I mean, when you align with your inner being, which is pure positive energy, the unfolding, the outpouring of positivity, generosity, kindness, understanding, compassion that comes from you being selfish enough to do what you need to do to align with your inner being and then go forth into life from there is extraordinary. I think a lot of times people talk about being selfish, but what they really mean is being insecure, arrogant, negative. That's not what I'm talking about. I want to be a good person and help others, but sometimes I feel depleted in the process. This goes along with the one I just talked about. Being in interaction with others is a critical part of being human. However, if you're not feeling your best, those interactions aren't going to be as beneficial as you'd like them to be. So there's huge benefit in learning about the physical aspect of you and the spiritual aspect of you and what kinds of conversations they're having and how do you figure out what's being said between you, the physical you, and the non-physical you, and what language is using. Now, I've termed this Ignite Intuition, Shake Off Fear, and Unleash the Real You, and those are umbrella terms for these more specific transformations that we're talking about right here, right now. So these are some of the things that you want. You are in the right place. Hang in there with me. The approach that I want you to take to this online course is little by little by little, little bit each day. It doesn't need to be an overwhelming experience. And what I'm going to teach you are the basic foundational components that you can then take and use in your own life to create the kinds of changes that you want. It's an internal to external dynamic facilitation process that we're talking about here. But if you feel excited about this, if you feel hopeful about this, if you feel inclined to stay with me in this process, please, please do. The part that can get a little bit frustrating and confusing in working toward any kind of outcome, whether that's an internal one or an external one, is that we live in a world with time and space. And there are no ways in which you can skip over parts of the process. Quantum leaps, as they're implied in the self-help industry, don't exist. It's about taking micro steps, micro movements consistently every 12 to 15 hour waking period that you have. So every day that you get up, you've got, however long you're awake, let's just say 12 hours, to make some inner changes that will then be reflected in your external world. And what we want to begin to do is create a new internal pattern, a new internal tone, a new internal rhythm consistently before we try to go manipulate the external world, because this is actually going to save you time and space over the long run. So I've spent the last 5 years doing the things that I'm teaching you consistently every single day. So I went from the first 40 years of my life feeling all the inconsistencies that I talked about, wanting all the things that I just talked about in the transformation list with you, the self-assessment. I spent 5 years dedicated to my own interpersonal growth, understanding my own spirituality in relation to my physicality, understanding how results get created, understanding how to make this information something that other people could understand and digest. So I had a concentrated period of 5 years. So now I've got the next, however long I live, doesn't matter whether it's tomorrow or until 100 years old, I am now free to create in a way that is extraordinary, that rarely a human gets to experience, the kind of intentional creation that I know both how to do and how to teach. So you're in for an extraordinary experience, but you're going to have to trust me and you're going to have to hang in there with me, because this isn't going to be a quick fix. This is going to be a journey in which we're going to form a relationship and we're going to get to know each other. And I'm going to do my best to help you understand these foundational steps through the lens of your own experiences, because that's where it's going to become real. So if you're in for let's go. Let's do this thing, but let's do it over the span and course of time. And let's just be easy about it. And let's understand that we don't have to fix everything today, that we'll do this over the course of time. And it's going to be a lot of fun. and it's going to be easy. Thanks for your time and energy today. I'll talk to you soon.